You want the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
You can't handle the truth!
Well, we're giving you the Michigan Sports Truth, the show that reveals facts, truth, research, and statistics and never messes around. We lay down the entire truth about everything regarding your Detroit and Michigan sports teams, no matter if it's good or bad. No junk, no entertainment, no homerism, no coddling, no pop culture, no opinions, no shilling, and no fluff. Head over to our website at MichiganSportsTruth.com, follow us on Twitter at Michigan_Truth, and like our Facebook page, The Michigan Sports Truth. The hosts of the Michigan Sports Truth podcast do not take any suggestions or criticism from any member of its audience on how it should be run. It is up to the host to decide what they want to cover. They also do not intend to be any amount of popular in any way, shape, form, or fashion. Additionally, the views of the audience, right or wrong, do not reflect the actual truth revealed on this program.
The Postgame Edition for May 2nd, 2018 is now in session. It is 9 p.m. Eastern Time. I'm Taylor Phillips along with Louis Tenore. Follow me on Twitter at DT2Phillips. Just going to recap the game, then we'll do the National Sports Report. Tigers beat the Rays 3-2 in 12 innings to take 2 of 3 games in the 3-game series at Comerica Park. Michael Fulmer gives up both runs on 6 hits in 6 innings. Blake Snell, that is, gives up 2 runs on 5 hits in 6 2/3 innings. The rest of the bullpens for both teams did an excellent job. But when it came down to the very end, the Tigers came out on top with an RBI suicide squeeze bunt single by John Hicks, scoring Jacoby Jones in the bottom of the 12th against Matt Andrews, who takes the loss and drops to 0-1 with a 4.58 ERA. The Tigers now stand at 13-16, still 3 games back because the Indians hammered the Texas Rangers 12-4. The Royals lose to the Red Sox 5-4. Twins blank the Blue Jays 4-0 at home. The White Sox lose to the Cardinals on the road 3-2. So the AL Comedy Central standings look like this. The Indians lead the Tigers by 3 games. The Twins by 4.5 games. The White Sox 7.5 games. And the Royals 8.5 games. The Indians are 16-13 in first place in the American League Comedy Central standings. And the Tigers taking 2 of 3 in that series is only favoring Chris Ilitch's ownership. Again, it resists the tanking process only to keep the Tigers in mediocrity with a mediocre record of 13-16. Tigers play the Kansas City Royals at Kauffman Stadium to kick off a 4-game series starting at 2:15 tomorrow. On FSD. Mike Fiers and Eric Skoglund will go at it. You can take a look at their statistics for yourself. Mike Fiers got tagged 10 times over 5 1/3 innings, 10 hits, and he didn't strike a batter out. Not one strikeout, just 0. And he still got a win, allowing only 4 runs, 2 of them earned, and getting a lot of run support. For some reason, the Royals are terrible. The Tigers should take at least 2 or 3 out of that 4-game series at Kauffman Stadium. Friday at 8:15, tomorrow at 2:15, Friday at 8:15, Saturday at 4:15, Sunday at 2:15. And the Royals are just one of those AL Comedy Central opponents that the Tigers are going to have to keep playing throughout for most of every season, along with the White Sox, who are 8-20. The Royals are 8-22. The Indians and the mediocre Minnesota Twins. That's what's just going to keep the Tigers in a mediocre record. So, that's all that matters for tonight. Now it's time for Louis Tenore's National Sports Report. Louis, take it away.
You got it. Can we say to mediocrity? No, I guess not. All right.
Oh, yeah.
Starting with the MLB scoreboard. All right. The Yankees are facing the Astros right now. Yankees up 3-0 in the bottom of the fourth with 1 on, nobody out. Soriano is pitching and Correa is at bat. Nationals are beating up on the Pirates now, 8-2, top of the sixth. No one on, no one out. Strasburg is pitching and Dickerson is at bat, 8-2. Pittsburgh is really struggling as of late. The Brewers lead the Reds right now, going into the bottom of the seventh. Landio, Garnett, and Hamilton are due up, as they're now in the seventh inning stretch. Rays lead the Mets 4-0 right now. Was a runner on second and 1 out. Garman is pitching and Flowers is at bat. Oh boy. Flowers. Phillies are leading the Marlins 2-0 right now. Runners on first and third, 2 out. Urania is pitching and Ernia is at bat. Scores on a foul today. The Red Sox over with the Royals 5-4. Palmer has got the win. Duffy got the loss, and Kimbrell got the save. Indians had a field day with the Rangers 12-4. Hoover got the win, and Moore, that's with 2 O's, got the loss. As we mentioned, the Tigers edged the Rays in 12, 3-2. Dustbold got the win, and Andreas got the loss. Twins blanked the Blue Jays 4-0. Romeo got the win, and Stroman got the loss. Wherefore art thou? Cardinals edged the White Sox 3-2. Martinez got the win. Gallardo got the loss, and Norris got the save. Rockies just had a field day also with the Cubs, 11-2. Anderson got the win, and Darvish, I'd say he got the loss, big time. Padres over the Giants. Giants over the Padres, 9-4. Holland got the win, and Richard got the loss. And that's my middle name. Okay. Coming up in about, a half an hour or so, the Dodgers will take on the Diamondbacks. Injin Ryu and Dudley are your starting pitchers. In about an hour from now, give or take, the Orioles take on the Angels. Bundy and Henley are your starting pitchers. And at 10:10 also, the Athletics will take on the Mariners. Anderson and Paxton will be your starting pitchers for that game. All right, so now I've taken care of these scores for now. I'll have an update after we get rid of all the news and stuff. So let's check the standings, and they read like this. Excuse me. All right, leading off of the American League East, as we usually do, the Red Sox are at 22-8, have a 2.5 game lead over the Yankees at 19-10, pending outcome of this game, of course. Blue Jays are 17-15, 17-13, 5 back. Rays are 8.5 back at 13-16, and the Orioles in the basement at 8-21 at 13.5. In the Central Division, Indians are 16-13, have a 3-game lead over the Tigers at 13-16. Twins, 10-16, 4.5 back. At 7.5 back, the White Sox at 8-20, and the Royals 8.5 back at 8-22. Ooh, boy, this is ugly. In the West, the Astros are 20-11, have a 1.5 lead over the Mariners at 17-11, pending outcome of tonight's game, of course. Angels 17-12, 2 back. Athletics 5 back, 14-15, and the Rangers 12-20. That's 8.5 back. National League, the Mets are 17-10, have a half-game lead over the Braves at 17-11. The Phillies, 16-13, 2 back. The Nationals, 14-16, 4.5 back, and the Marlins, only 7 back, but still 11-18. In the Central, pretty much a virtual tie again between the Cardinals, who are 17-12, and the Brewers, 18-13. But the Cardinals lead in percentage points, 586 to 581 over the Brewers. The Cubs are a half game back at 16-12. Pirates are a half game back at 17-13, and the Reds are 10.5 back already at 7-23. That is ugly. In the West, Diamondbacks 21-8 have a 5.5 game lead over the Rockies at 17-15. Giants are 6 back at 16-15. Dodgers are 12-17 at 9 back, and the Padres 11.5 back at 11-21. All right, we've taken care of that. So now let's go to the schedule for tomorrow's games. And of course, being it's Thursday, I am sure that we'll have afternoon games in the schedule, and they go as follows. Leading off at 1:05, the Pirates take on the Nationals. 1:10 games, Braves versus the Mets, Blue Jays versus the Indians. 2:10, Yankees will take on the Astros. 2:15, Tigers take on the Royals. 3:40, Dodgers take on the D-backs. 4:30, Blue Jays take on the Indians. That's a doubleheader, by the way. 8:05, the Red Sox take on the Rangers. 8:10, Twins take on the White Sox. 10:07, Orioles take on the Angels. And at 10:10, the Athletics take on the Mariners. All right, so shall we head on to the ice? No, you know what? We'll do the NBA first. Then we'll do the ice because I have a connection with that after the hockey. So I'll save that. So anyway, NBA. There's only, I think, one game on the schedule tonight. No. Yes, it's the Jazz versus the Rockets. And right now, you might be surprised with this, guys, but the Jazz are up on the Rockets now, 60-46. 150 to go in the second quarter. How about that? Rudy Gobert has 12 points, 9 rebounds, 1 block. Clint Capela has 13 points, 5 rebounds, and 2 assists. Well, I am flabbergasted. Yeah. I didn't think they had much of a chance. All right. Well, tomorrow, those games will go as follows. As the Cavaliers will take on the Raptors in Game 2. At 8:30, the Sixers will take on the Celtics. And both of them lead 1-0 in their series. All right, so now we'll get on to the news department. And as I mentioned, now we got to do the hockey. Hold on a second. All right. Right now, the Lightning lead the Bruins 3-1 at last check, but I'm going to reload here. It is still 3-1 at the end of the second period. Lightning of the Bruins. And at 10 o'clock, the Sharks and the Knights will face off each other And the Knights can really put the squeeze on the Sharks with a win tonight. It won't give them the win of the series, but it'll put them at the edge. Tomorrow we will have 2 games on the schedule here, and they are the Capitals versus the Penguins at 7 o'clock, and the Predators will face the Jets. All right, now for that news story I was trying to get to, and this is a big one. And some of you may be surprised, some of you may not. The National Hockey League's Department of Player Safety has made the decision to suspend Washington Capitals forward Tom Wilson for 3 games, following a devastating hit that delivered to Pittsburgh Penguins rookie Zachary Austin Reeves last night. It's a huge suspension, and one that will likely have a drastic impact on how the series will play out. Wilson laid out Reese with a devastating hit in Game 3 of the second round series between the Penguins and the Capitals, a hit that may have very well ended Aston Reese's season. From some angles, it looked like Wilson had driven through the body of Aston Reeves. However, other angles show that the head of Austin Reese may have been the primary point of contact. The impact of the hit was so violent and sent Wilson flying backwards into the Capitals bench. Oof. As a result of the violent impact, Aston Reese suffered a broken jaw as well as a concussion. And in the case of the broken jaw, he will need to undergo a surgical procedure in order to help repair the damage that was done by the hit. You have to imagine the severity of the injuries to Austin Reese here having played a significant factor in the league's ruling. It was the second time that Wilson injured a Penguins player in this series. And it was the second time he had done so by making significant contact with the head of an opposing player. The first hit was laid out by Penguins defenseman Ryan Dumlin, and the Penguins the Penguins was not pleased when the Department of Player Safety ruled that Wilson's hit did not rise to the level of a suspension, which should have. If Wilson had avoided...
Should have been 5 games, maybe 7.
Yeah, 3, that's nothing.
Not enough.
No. If Wilson had avoided a suspension for this hit, as well as likely would have sparked some serious outrage with the Penguins organization, and the risk associated with that may have been also something that the NHL and the Department of Player Safety also weighed when making this decision. Of course, the Penguins still very well choose to seek retribution despite the suspension, but things may have gotten crazy if the Penguins were forced to resort to vigilante justice. One of the more interesting aspects of the story is the fact that these two bitter rivals will be playing at least 2 more games against one another in this series, and likely more than that if the Penguins have anything to say about it. Wilson may have received a significant suspension from the National Hockey League, but there's no doubt that this particular incident is going to continue having an impact on the series. Yeah, no kidding. The Penguins will be looking to get revenge for the young rookie that the Capitals injured, even if they do so while playing within the rules, and the Capitals themselves are looking for a revenge on their own, considering the way Pittsburgh has dominated them in the playoffs historically. We're 3 games in, and the bad blood is already starting to spill over. What might be in store, or if the series continues. I would keep my eye on this very closely. Yeah, I know the rivalry gets stepped up once you get the playoffs, but to resort to this, that's taking it a bit much. All right, so continuing on now. News with the Yankees. Yankees signed reliever David Hale to a major league contract, bringing him back to the 25-man roster, taking place of Jordan Montgomery, who is placed on the 10-day disabled list with a left elbow strain. The Yankees also reinstated outfielder Clint Frazier from rehab work as he officially comes off the disabled list, opting him for AAA. He was in AAA when he was rehabbing from a concussion. One bit of bad news, outfielder Jacoby Ellsbury was transferred to the 60-day disabled list with plantar fasciitis. MLB also announced its April award Players of the Month. Didi Gregorius wins the AL Player of the Month. A.J. Pollock wins the National League Player of the Month. Sean Messina wins AL Pitcher of the Month. And Max Scherzer won for National League Pitcher of the Month. And, of course, Ohtani got Rookie of the Month. No surprise there. All right. Oklahoma City Thunder General Manager Sam Presti said the head coach Billy Donovan's job is secure despite a disappointing season. The Thunder had high expectations this season after trading both Paul George and Carmelo Anthony to join Russell Westbrook. Even with the star power, the Thunder had only had one more win than last season and had a first-round loss to the Jazz. George could leave for free agency, but Presti hopes to provide Donovan with some hope that he will return entering his fourth season. So we'll have to see about that. Cleveland Cavaliers, at least for time being, will stick with Kevin Love as the starting center, despite the All-Stars' struggles at that position this postseason. Coach Lou said, whatever is good for the team, that's what we are going to do. The comments were made by Coach Tyronn Lue early today. Kevin is going to have open shots all night. So, whatever's best for the team, that's what's going to happen. Love had a rough go-around in the 113-112 win over the Raptors. That was a very tough game. Starting at 1 for 8 from the field before finishing with 7 points and on 3 for 13 shooting, 1 for 4 from the three-point range with 13 rebounds. Love was asked after the game if he was more comfortable playing as a power forward. It has been my entire career at the fours, he replied. I would say yes. Ty sees something different, and I think offensively, once I get myself going, we can use that to our advantage. As for now, I need to find some easy buckets. They were right there last night, as the case may be, but I just couldn't put them down. Love, who heard some of the opening series against the Pacers, is only averaging 10.9 points per game at 31.9% shooting in 8 postseason games so far. Yeah. He'll find his groove. All right. Now, despite a triple-double last night from LeBron James, he says it was one of the worst performances that he's had all season. And I'll explain why. James faltered at the line with his shooting accuracy. He shot 12 for 30 from the field, including 1 for 8 from three-point range and 1 for 6 from the foul line, and packed most of his misses into crunch time, shooting just 3 for 15 in the fourth quarter and overtime combined. The 12 missed shots were the most James ever had missed in the fourth quarter and overtime involving a playoff game. That's according to the stats and information of ESPN. James said, I definitely was not effective enough and where I'd like to be. I missed a lot of open look shots and a lot of open threes that were going under a lot of floaters in the lane. Because of the injury I had in Game 7, I did not have the opportunity to get on the court yesterday morning and Monday morning as well. So by the end of the day, the only thing that matters is trying to get the win. LeBron thanked his teammates for coming through to get the victory last night, and it was a close one. 113-112. Doesn't get any closer than that, folks. Sixers head coach Brent Brown went with T.J. McConnell last night in Game 1 as the Sixers took on the Celtics. Coach Brown said he weighed several factors in deciding to play McConnell ahead of Markelle Fultz, including McConnell's success with the club over the course of the season and his performance as a backup to Ben Simmons in the first round of the playoffs. Brown also said that it would be foolish to consider Fultz dead and buried at this point. There are times when you think where you for sure thinking about playing Fultz. Brown said that last night, however, I got a decision to make, and I made the decision. That does not mean it is set in stone. It is always something you think about, and the care for Fultz and his future is always on my mind. All right. So as we mentioned, of course, the Capitals forward, he is suspended 3 games, but I have a little bit more on that. Let me see here. Okay. Now, in the case, Austin Reeves also fell to the ice and was bleeding, and the impact carried Wilson to the bench. Reeves managed to get up and skate over to the Penguins bench and left through the tunnel for treatment, missing the rest of the game, resulting in a loss to the Capitals last night. This was the second time that Wilson delivered a high hit that made kind of a Pence player. And Game 2, it was defenseman Brian Dumlin who returned from in Game 3. Pence coach Mike Sullivan said that Reese is not going to make the same recovery. Sullivan also said, we lose a guy with a broken jaw that requires surgery and concussion because of another right hit to the head. And at some point, we would have to do something about it, and now at least the NHL has taken some action. But still, I think it's rather lenient, just 3 games. All right, for you Steelers fans out there, I got some good news. Steelers quarterback Ben Roethlisberger tells the Pittsburgh Gazette that he does plan to play another 3 to 5 years if he stays healthy and if his offensive line stays intact. The Steelers selected Oklahoma State quarterback Mason Rudolph with the 76th overall pick in last week's draft that raised questions about the franchise have found their apparent heir to Big Ben. Roethlisberger puts it this way: if he's going to be the next guy, then that's great. But in my perfect world, he won't be for a while, as he told the Gazette. Roethlisberger validated the notion with his play late last season after a slow start to the season's first half. Roethlisberger had averaged nearly 350 passing yards and 3 touchdowns per game over the season's final 3 games. His entire offensive line is under contract, as are his weapons Antonio Brown, Le'Veon Bell, and Juju Smith-Schuster. I will take it 1 year at a time and give everything I have in that 1 year. But that's what I feel comfortable with. Telling the Steelers, and Roethlisberger says about his time frame. So, in other words, you can say what you want. I'm not going anywhere.
That's really gonna piss urinating Tree right off. He's
not a Steelers fan.
Well, he's actually a native of the city of Pittsburgh, but he used to be a Steelers fan, not anymore. I got a video to share with you to you privately later after this thing's all said and done.
Well, I've been a fan since the Bradshaw days, so
yeah.
I'm showing my age now. Oh boy, not cool. All right, so back to the scores table. We're going to go. End of the 5th now. The Yankees still lead 3-0. Now going to the top of the 6th, right? It's 3-0 Yankees over Astros. 1 out, nobody on. Kershaw is pitching, and Judge is coming to bat. All I can say is, here come the Judge. Top of the 7th, Nationals now lead the Pirates 9-3. It's now going in the bottom of the 7th. Strasburg Dido and Harper are coming to bat. Bottom of the 8th, Brewers lead the Reds 3-1. One out, nobody on. Jeffries is pitching and Otto is at bat. Bottom 9, I think you can say it's over here as the Braves are up on the Mets now 7-zip. I think to say it's over. Ramos is pitching and Acuna Jr. is at bat. Middle of the 8th, now I should say bottom of the 8th, Phillies lead the Marlins 4-0. Rojas, Brisson, and Rivera are coming to bat. All their games are either final or going to start momentarily. And just a quick check to see if anything has changed in the hockey, which you never know with the playoffs. No, it's still 3-1, Lightning over the Bruins with 10:18 to go in the third period. And last but not least, with the Jazz and the Rockets, I am still shocked by this score here. It is now the Jazz 64, the Rockets 55 at the half. Gobert has 13 points, 9 rebounds, and a block, while Harden has 21 points, 5 assists, and 4 rebounds. And ladies and gentlemen, this is not a typo. This is actually the score. All right, so I'll turn it back over to you.
All right, that's going to do it. Before we sign off, we want to remind everyone to share this episode and our entire podcast on social media and have their friends share that as well, because we want to tell them that the Michigan Sports Truth podcast is in search for a wider audience that is fans of sports, especially our teams in the state of Michigan. So please spread the word about the Michigan Sports Truth podcast. Its Facebook page, the Michigan Sports Truth, and its Twitter handle at Michigan_Truth. For Louis Tenore, I'm Taylor Phillips. Follow me on Twitter at DT2Phillips. We'll talk to you tomorrow night at sometime, probably 8 or 9. TTFN, ta-ta for now. Bon appetit.
Bon appetit.
The hosts of the Michigan Sports Truth podcast do not take any suggestions or criticism from any member of its audience on how it should be run. It is up to the host to decide what they want to cover. They also do not intend to be any amount of popular in any way, shape, form, or fashion. Additionally, the views of the audience, right or wrong, do not reflect the actual truth revealed on this program.
Mission complete.